The word impunity is defined in the Oxford English Dictionary as exemption from punishment, harm, or recrimination. And that is exactly what's become of our nation. Case in point, a white man from a very wealthy and famous settler family kills a black man for allegedly trespassing on his property. He is arrested but quickly acquitted. The same white man kills a second black man for allegedly poaching on his 50,000-acre farm. He's arrested again, dragged in and out of court for a little more than 3 years, and in the end, the original charge of murder, which is a capital offense in Kenya punishable by death, is reduced to manslaughter. Here's the saddest part about this whole scenario. This man, whose grandfather, the infamous Lord Delamere, who was known for shooting innocent Africans from the balcony of the Norfolk Hotel back in the 1950s, will most likely be a free man by the middle of next week, having already served out his time during his trial. Conclusion: impunity is alive and well in Kenya. Allow me to continue, because this seems to be one of the very few nations on the planet where killers and murderers freely walk the streets, where rapists continue to rape at will, where gangs of panga-wielding, stone-throwing, stick-waving young men go around claiming to be vigilantes and searching for similar-looking people to chop up into little pieces, all under the name of justice or haki yetu or something like that. Barely a week ago, a group of alleged arsonists who were apparently identified after being seen committing one of the most heinous crimes during the post-election violence, namely the systematic torching of Kiambaa Church, which killed dozens of innocent women and children trapped inside. Well, they were acquitted, apparently for lack of evidence, because the victims' families were apparently afraid to identify them and then go back and live side by side with the families of the suspects, without any kind of witness protection. Which means that Mzee Peter Mudero will most likely never know who murdered his family. And neither will the dozens of other victims' families who lost their family members on that horrible January morning in 2008. The culture of impunity rules the day once again. And Mzee Mudero isn't the only one. The individuals who funded, planned, plotted, and carried out what's come to be known as the country's worst violence in more than half a century, which killed up to 1,500 people and left another 250,000 homeless, many of whom are still living in tented camps as refugees in their own country. Well, those so-called perpetrators seem to be literally getting away with murder. And despite the fact that the mediator himself, the famous grey-haired Ghanaian, still has the so-called secret envelope tucked away in a safe somewhere, few here believe that envelope actually exists. But maybe with one of our very own, now a sitting judge at the world's highest court, namely the International Criminal Court at The Hague, just maybe justice delayed will not be a case of justice denied, although the justice herself feels there could be a conflict of interest.
You know that I will not try and claims, even as a judge here in Kenya, I would never adjudicate over a case of anybody else. So I would not see that excuse yourself. I believe that President Song elected did not put you in such a way. It was impossible.
Then again, when was the last time anyone was actually tried, convicted, and sentenced for a crime they actually committed. Unless, of course, it was this guy, whose case, by the way, was thrown out last week after he'd served 3 years for illegal gun possession. But something strange happened on his way to his acquittal. He was rearrested and hasn't been seen in public since. Maybe if he belonged to a wealthy settler family, as opposed to a proscribed illegal sect, maybe he'd be a free man today. Is this what you call impunity in reverse? And speaking of impunity or getting away with murder, nearly 2 months after the audacious murders of Oscar Kamal Kingara and his colleague Paul Olu in broad daylight, it's safe to say that we shouldn't expect to get any justice here anytime soon. To this day, there are still no suspects and few clues that would lead us to their murderers. But then again, why should we be surprised? We still don't know who killed Tom Boyer, or J.M. Kariuki, or Father D'Agostino, or indeed Robert Ouko. Or maybe we do, but the culture of impunity is too embedded, too entrenched, too deeply rooted in our collective psyche. Maybe then it's time to turn to a higher authority, or in this case, a self-declared prophet whose predictions, thank God, never came true. Pardon the pun. Having said that, the man with the dreadlocked beard and all-white attire insists we all need to repent, or else we are all destined for doom. He claims to have a following of millions, including one Right Honorable Prime Minister. Maybe this is what we've been missing as a nation. Maybe we all need to take a quick dip in the pool. Maybe if we all repent, we might be able to rid ourselves of the culture of impunity. After all, what's the worst that could happen? Jeff Koinange, Eyewitness News.